There's no easy way for me to say this, but through the things I've witnessed through statistically and in real life, I've come to the conclusion, at least personally for me, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, that dating is probably dead. And I've struggled to want to make this video for the longest time because I just didn't even know where to start or where to begin because I just feel like I don't have the authority to really be talking about a subject like this. Because the truth of the matter is, the reason why I haven't recorded or rather made this video anytime sooner is just because I don't really have much experience to give or offer that many other people out there can really give. And ultimately, the reason why I'm making this video now is, I guess, just breaking down why I feel the way I do. And I'm hoping I'm not the only one that feels the same way here. I mean, I've seen countless videos, trends, everything on the internet that tells me I'm not. But in real life, it does sort of feel like I am alone in this sort of fight. But online, and at least with what I've seen when it comes to the trends and patterns, especially with a YouTuber by the name of Cole Hastings, who has countless videos that I've seen over the past year, talking about individual Gen Z sort of issues that we've been having, as well as societal problems. And some of the videos I want to call attention is the rise of situationships, why Gen Z hates dating, the fatherhood is dying and men need a new purpose, to the population collapse, why no one wants kids anymore. And when I watch these videos, I don't feel alone in how I feel that, other people feel the same way, in that there's just so many problems with dating and so many barriers and roadblocks, and these dating apps don't help because the dating apps, to put it bluntly, they're rigged. I mean, they really are. I found another video recently by Zachary Smigel, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, where he breaks down in his video titled, "Are Dating Apps Really Stacked Against Men?" And he, by the end of the video, basically says what I already knew, is that these businesses make these apps a certain way to get men like me, average guys, hooked on their stupid systems by paying their subscription to their, Tinder Gold or Bumble Plus or whatever the heck these other apps call it, as a way to get people to see their likes, to feel some validation, and in the end just go in this endless loop. Because these apps also have bots, and it's skewed more in women's favor. And, videos like Zachary's kind of break down what I already knew. It's just nice to see it in a much more detailed format with actual statistics and breaking down and testing. And it really isn't encouraging any further that it's rigged against us. And then you just see the stuff like those TikTok videos that content creators break down on YouTube, which you can see a dime of these things all across there just by searching up, why are men no longer approaching women, or why men are giving up on dating. Like, you can see these videos and these men break it down, and there's countless of these. Like, I could pick an example here and there, but there's so many of these. You can find them, like I said, a dime a dozen on YouTube. And, it's a trend. It's clearly a trend, and all these videos cover the same thing. Either women have these high expectations, they're either complaining why men are no longer approaching them or why men are leaving, and they're trying to struggle to find out why, when some of the answers are obviously in front of them. But then there's other ones they're genuinely trying to understand why. And it's not that hard to see why when you see just how the media has vilified men in these last couple of years and talked down about us. And, women have always come out and said recently that, oh, we don't need no men to do anything. We can do everything or else. I want to be a career woman. And, that's fine and dandy. I'm not against it at all, but it just seems like there's just been a lot of female empowerment to the point where it's caused the detrimental of the dating scene. And I'm not saying men are completely immune to this. There's the hookup culture and the push for men to just go around and sleeping with a bunch of women, and, all these alpha and Chad Sigma YouTubers out there that are basically saying this kind of talking point, red pill, whatever the heck they're called. Those YouTubers like Andrew Tate, that's the one that just comes to mind. Those people that literally say that you gotta, men have to sleep around, they have to put themselves on a higher status, make money, men's glow-up years are when they're in their 40s and 50s now, and it's like, they're not helping the problem either. I'm not saying that it's mostly women that are causing this, but I'm also saying that men are also the cause of this, and it's just leaving us, people in Gen Z, in this weird state of just disarray, confusion. We don't know what the heck to do because everything feels skewered for an agenda. And it's what's pissed me off. And it leads into the final video I want to talk about that I've seen, is the male loneliness epidemic that Shoe on Head put out a year ago, and it still sticks in my head because this video created a domino effect where other people started talking about it on a larger scale. And seeing those comments, even at the time of that video was posted and continuing on, it's made me feel validated in that I'm not lonely, that the dating scene truly is dead and being dismantled and falling apart beyond our very eyes, and that, we're not the only ones out there that are lonely. There's other guys out there like us, and it's just harder and harder to find them, which leads me into what I've seen in real life, in that I have started to see now more guys not wanting to date. They've just given up. And there are still some guys out there that still try to be encouraging, and I've tried bringing certain things up, like statistics, this evidence that I've shown in this video that, men aren't approaching anymore, they're giving up, and why, Gen Z is giving up on dating apps entirely. And I bring these statistics up and try to pass them on in groups, and, they say things like, oh, you're just letting statistics scare you. You're letting them control you. And so what I have to say about this, wouldn't you, when you see these kind of statistics, and then I've met countless people, not just, people my age, but people that are like 50, 60, 70 years old that have basically never dated or gave up entirely and are just now trying to live their lives the best they can. And I think that's what makes this such a hard topic to discuss for me, is because I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall when all this stuff gets brought up, Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're young, you still got a chance, and you're just, like I said, letting statistics scare you. But wouldn't you be scared when you see, even think about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. He was almost taken to the cleaners. And then there's all these other stories that you hear and see that I've even witnessed in my own family, where family members have been taken to the cleaners and have lost everything. I'm even a child of divorce, and maybe the divorce wasn't as bad as many other divorces out there, but it still was just a nightmare to get through. But then I see all these other stories when it comes to, my grandpa's friend who's now dealing with custody battles and lawsuits and money problems because of how horrible the marriage laws are, compared to even my uncle, who basically divorced his wife of so many years, but then lost his kids, even though they're adults, and they turned them against him. Like, when I see these stories, talking to people at bars that, nag about how their wife's complaining and it's causing them problems, to hearing about how they got cheated and their heart was ripped on and destroyed and all this other stuff. When you hear these constant patterns, even in real life, let's just detach away from the internet. It's hard not to be afraid of this. And then, people say, oh, you should be a passport bro. You should spend thousands of dollars going to another country for a chance to get a woman. And those are not always success stories. And then you have to take a huge gamble and risk by paying thousands of dollars to do it. If it works for you, awesome. If you have the money and means to do it, then do it. But the guys like me, the ones that are working a 9-to-5 job and trying to get by, that don't have the extra money, that's a huge gamble. I can't take that gamble. I'd be blowing my life savings just to make that work. Oh, but you can't put a price on true love. Yeah, you can in this day and age, unfortunately. I always think of these counter arguments because I either witnessed them or experienced them again in these groups, and it's just what's made this topic so difficult to talk about, because it just feels like we're not getting anywhere with this and trying to solve the problems. And then every time I try to bring this up and talk about it, it feels like, oh, you don't have the authority to be talking about this because, you haven't dated enough people or something. It's like, buddy, I'm 25 years old. I'm halfway to my 20s. Yeah, I'm still young, but I'm old enough to know what's real and what's not real in this world, and to see the patterns and trends coming up in our faces. And it just gets frustrating. Am I the only one that just feels frustrated about talking about stuff like this? Because it stings, it hurts, and it's just, we're dealing with the crisis right now, and there's no solutions here, and it just seems like it's getting worse and worse. And then all these trends, all these statistics make sense, but people still talk them down. They're not a problem. One final statistic is by 2030, 45% of women are going to be single and childless. What does that tell you? What does that tell you for not just guys and women, but for society as a whole? That's bad. We're having a population growth problem. It's like the video I mentioned with Cole Hastings. And that's why I just think dating is dead. Does anyone else feel like that's the case? Like, feel a similar level of frustration? That's just how it feels to me, at least. So, at the end of the day, I want to leave this video on a positive note. And I want to say is, if you are in a relationship and are happily married and everything, not only cherish that, but don't disregard or discredit people like me that are feeling the way we are now, because the advice I want to give people is just take a step back and understand that person's perspective and what they're going through. Stop with this stupid mantra of, oh, you're a guy, you need to just toughen up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and go out there and try again. Because everybody's different. And some people, they get hopeless much sooner than others. And I guess I'm in that boat, and maybe there's other people in that boat, but there's a real crisis going on right now, and it needs to be talked about. So I'd like to do another video following up this if, people like what I have to say on this, because maybe there is more to talk about, and I don't want this video going on for too long, because there is a lot to talk about, and it's a topic that does make me frustrated. So if you guys want to see like a part 2 or something diving into something else, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I can gather my thoughts a little bit easier and accurately, because this is a big subject to talk about, and I just didn't know where to start, but I wanted to at least get something out there, since this seems like the kind of topic that trends more often than not, and I just wanted to throw my take or hat in the ring. So anyway, I'll just leave the video off at this. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when I go live. We are still on the road to 300 subscribers by the end of the month, and as of recording, I'm at 213. And it seems to be going up more and more, so I'm getting real excited about that. So I will see you this Saturday for another My Experience video, and the last part of this footage will tell you exactly what game franchise is up next. So I'll see you then. Take care.